Hi, I'm Kathryn. I'm a bioinformatics analyst at the Englander Institute for Precision Medicine at Weill Cornell Medicine, and I'm here today to talk to you about event-driven solutions to integrate pipeline executions within a complex informatics infrastructure. So, Nextflow pipelines are usually part of a larger informatics ecosystem. The problem is linking these systems together is difficult. So, manual intervention is often error-prone and slow. There are delays in reacting to completed pipelines and errors. Like, for example, I had a pipeline end at 2 a.m. on Thanksgiving this past week. And many software solutions to this are strongly coupled together in that they are proprietary, part of one package, not necessarily easily extensible. So here's the core of what I do. So I do bulk RNA-seq mostly. So I have raw data. I put it into our laboratory inventory management system just to record everything. I use that to generate a sample sheet, feed it into Nextflow. Nextflow feeds the jobs into my executor of choice, and I get some results out. But really, this is only part of the picture. So with these results, it's part of a larger ecosystem. So these results go into CBioPortal. They could go into a clinical report that updates electronic health records, maybe a Jupyter notebook or a Shiny app, and of course I have to put them back into LIMS too. So really, automating sample sheet from LIMS, not too bad. There's guides on Sakara blog to automate Nextflow start with Tower. Nextflow manages all the jobs, but all this stuff in red is often a manual step. So what's the solution to this? So really, we want to automate communication and actions between all these pipelines and other software components. So ideally, the solution is generic. It's built around Nextflow. And it needs to work on a variety of HPC and cloud platforms. You have Slurm, you have Google Cloud, you have Azure, you have AWS. There's a huge variety out there. So really, our answer is to move to an event-driven architecture. So first off, what is an event? So simply put, it's a change in state. You have a new file. You have a pipeline starting. And this is wrapped in a message with a description of what occurs. So we can conceive of a pipeline as a series of events that you have a sub-workflow. You have tasks beginning and ending. You have errors, of course. I personally forget to allocate memory all the time. And of course, there's workflow completion, whether that is successful or an error. So the question becomes, how do we track, discover, and react to these events? So our solution is based on Apache Kafka. So it's an open source platform maintained by the Apache Software Foundation, written in Java, and it facilitates communication through a Kafka broker. This broker organizes message logs into topics. Services can publish a message to a topic, and other services subscribe to topics to listen to these messages. So what we are presenting is the dispatcher suite, which has the main feature of the Kafka dispatcher. Simply put, a Kafka dispatcher is an interface to a Kafka broker with a single point of configuration. You give it a YAML file, and it will listen to your topics, send messages to topics. So it's a Dockerized microservice. And again, it can publish messages, and it can subscribe to topics to listen to messages. So what's special about it, too, is that it can trigger actions based on those message contents. Again, just specified through your YAML file. So this could be a simple API call to, again, a database. It could just be whatever bash command you want. And of course, you could do Nextflow run, EIPM, RNA-seq, or even Tower launch. So how is this implemented? What does this look like on a basic level? So here's just a simple image. So I have a dispatcher, a Kafka dispatcher associated with LIMS, my inventory. I have a Kafka broker, in this case with 3 topics, start, progress, and complete. And I have a dispatcher associated with Nextflow, my job submit node with Nextflow. So the dispatcher responds to an event in my LIMS. So in this case, it could be creating a sample sheet because there's enough data to create a sample sheet. So the dispatcher can send a message containing the address of the sample sheet to the topic start. My other dispatcher on the job submit node is subscribed to this topic start and can trigger an action based on the content. So I give it, there's a message with the sample sheet address. The dispatcher gets the sample sheet address and can trigger Nextflow to start my pipeline. So this isn't too bad so far. There's plenty of ways to automatically start Nextflow, but what's special about this, we want to think about integrating with Nextflow itself. So we created a little library, ZeroMess. It's a lightweight Groovy library for interacting specifically with our Kafka dispatcher. So this is a jar that you drop into the lib directory, and it's used by both the main Nextflow process and each task on your nodes. So this enables publishing messages for your workflow events. So pipeline start and end. So the onComplete handler is a miracle. Your task start and end, so you have a task start up, you can see a message for that. Any critical errors that happen, again, on error handler, very handy. And any other debug or log information you need. So I have another diagram for you. So we have our analytical environment. This could be, again, AWS, Google Cloud, you know, like any HPC. We have a job submit node with Nextflow, with access to the ZeroMess library and a Kafka dispatcher. We have a broker. This time I haven't shown the topics, but we have tested this with on-prem Kafka, event hubs, and AWS MSK. And of course, we have other systems available with Kafka dispatchers. So Nextflow, as we know, submits jobs to a node. The nodes can use ZeroMess to interact with the dispatcher on your job submit node. So this dispatcher sends messages which are received by other dispatchers, again facilitated through a broker, like such as Event Hubs or MSK, and we can trigger actions. So again, in this case, I may update a database once my alignment is done. I could have multi-QC running, and once the process is done, I can get an email saying, oh, hey, your QC is ready. So when the pipeline is done, I get a Nextflow itself, your main workflow, can use the ZeroMess library to send a message to the Kafka dispatcher, again facilitated by the broker, and other systems can handle the message and react to it. So in this case, again, you have an email, you could have a dispatcher sending emails, but it could send multiple emails. It could send it to your HPC administrator on the case of an error, it could send it to a PI, that person in your lab that knows all the Nextflow, whoever you need. So, and again, you can collect run metadata and update another database with that. So, what is it that we can do with this framework? So I've already described a little bit of what we can do. So one major example is we can start pipelines automatically with accumulated data. So watch a database or watch your S3 bucket, see some data show up, create a sample sheet, send it into, send a message with the sample sheet address. So again, as tasks are done, you can update LIMS or an electronic health record with any information, like, again, have an alignment, put it into our Bioinformatics table on LIMS, because that's how we track all our files. We can contact multiple stakeholders on a pipeline failure. So again, that person in your lab that knows all the Nextflow, they can help you out. So CBio portal is a part of how we at EIPM share data. So we could have data from our pipeline added directly into CBio portal. And really, one exciting thing is that you can chain together complex pipelines on that onComplete message. So I remember watching the Barcelona Summit live stream, and there was somebody presenting the genomic imputation pipeline. There was a question about combining it with Sarek because it could use BAMs from Sarek as the input. So rather than combining two highly complex pipelines, you can chain them together. Another simple example, NF-core, BAM to FASTQ into RNA-seq. Not too bad. But again, you can chain together these highly complex pipelines rather than just have them all in one hard-to-maintain program. So in adding additional systems is very easy. The Kafka dispatcher is just a little Docker image. Just throw it up. It first time I did it took less than an hour to learn how to configure it. So it's very simple. So what's the roadmap here? So one thing I do want to say is that this system is more than theoretical. It is in use by our clinical genomics lab for TSO 500. And we plan on releasing the Kafka dispatcher as open source software within the next year. And really, we are going to create a plugin, NF Events, to publish events in Nextflow. Initially, it will be a wrapper around our ZeroMess library and able to communicate with that Kafka dispatcher directly. But in the future, we want to be able to publish messages directly from Nextflow without interfacing with that without the dispatcher. So I was a little fast, but here's some acknowledgments. So of course, all my co-authors like Manuel and Andrea and I have put in a lot of work. That picture, it's me on the left, Andrea, and then two members of our comp team, Pooja and Peter. There's also Noah, Sean, Zichan, Zhao Fei. You know, and then I want to say hi to my office mate, Mai. There's Alicia, there's Mike, Jenna, Jyoti, and a lot of people at EIPM. So there are some code examples. Again, the Kafka dispatcher is not open source, but these are some examples of how to use messaging in a pipeline. So Hello Mess is a simple pipeline Manuel wrote to demonstrate the different types of messages that can be sent. And RNA-seq messaging is a pipeline I wrote, just a little stub, to show how messages might look in production. So, all right, I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So I think we've got two quick questions, maybe. Okay. First question, have you explored SQS or SNS instead of Kafka?
No. So Kafka, you know, we're using Spring Boot and Spring Kafka to interface with things. So that was, you know, Manuel was the one that wrote most of the code, Java developer. Really, it was the best solution for us, Apache Kafka. So.
Awesome, thank you. And second question, have you thought about porting ZeroMess into a Nextflow plugin?
Yes, that was, yeah, so we do plan on doing that. Again, we are looking to name it NF Events. Again, initially NF Events. We'll be able to interact with the dispatcher, but in the future, our hope is to have it send messages directly to a broker. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for answering those questions. Give a
Yeah.
hand for Kathryn.
Thank you so much.